there's the selfie again. And speaking of kitties, Minnie, you gonna come join me? Yeah, she's gonna come join me just for a few minutes. She'll be not too bad of a distraction, I don't think. um. Anyway, um, I just wanted to get up and do a little video because I have no idea. It's 2:15 a.m. Not sure. It's after Sunday night, so it must be Monday morning. Um, um, I was gonna. Minnie. Oh, where is she? She's so funny. Uh, he. I can't find her. So I'm really tired. I went to bed at like 11:30, and I'd posted on Facebook all day, and I can't find Minnie. She's down here. So where are you, kitty cat? Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the cat all night. So I just got up because I was thinking I need to make some notes because my brain's going, and people keep asking me stuff, and I don't know what to say, and people say, "How are you doing?" And I just I don't know. I'm great right now. A month ago, I was like planning for my memorial service and getting my act together because I'm like, I'm gonna die here soon, and I don't know what. I don't know. But anyway, all is well for now. So, can you hear that purr? Am I pointing the? Oh, so okay. I gotta get to the real thing. So, where was I? Minnie, you lost my train of thought. You totally messed me up. That's okay. That's okay. So, went to bed, slept really, really good for a couple hours, and then started thinking all this stuff. Saying, people ask, how, what is your secret? How are you making success out of your life, your healing, whatever? So, I couldn't take notes and stuff. So here's my notes. So what I've tried so many things. I've been battling ovarian cancer since 2013. I have originally did everything that Moffitt told me to do, everything you're supposed to do. The standard conventional chemo. Where's Minnie? She's so cute. Oh, there she is. You can't really see her, but meow, say something. There she is. Hee hee hee. There she is. Minnie. She's my little buddy. So, yeah, I did chemo, surgery first, of course, and that was pretty brutal. They did everything and said I had a American Cancer Society said my stage C3, 3C, I had a 35% chance of being alive in 5 years. So, but there she is. um, so 5 years was what? 2000. I can't do math right now, but 2013 plus 5 is however many. I think it's a couple years after that now, and I'm doing great right now. So, but what did I do to do success? But anyway, let me back up. So I did chemo radiation. No, radiation. I did chemo on and off. It was terrible, terrible stuff. Lost all my hair, couldn't eat. Uh, uh, just, oh, where are you going? Okay, there she went. um, but every few months I'd feel better and I go off of it. Well, my CT scans had come back good, and my CA 125 had come back good, and I go off the chemo, and then a few months later, poof, CT, too bad, back again. Uh, so that went on for several years, and every time I was very hopeful and thinking, well, this time it's really gonna be good. And they tried different things, and then my body, that you can only have so much of certain things, and then your body just says, or that science says, or their studies say, you're maxed out, you can't do more of this. But so I maxed out a few things. Then 2002, not last year, 2018, I done some more chemo, and they wanted me to do 8 rounds or whatever it was, and I did 3 every 3 weeks I was supposed to do. And first one, that gave me neutropenia really bad, and I didn't even know what that was. I have to look up a lot of stuff. So neutropenia is you get a really bad fever, and your immune system is basically just wiped out. You have no defense against anything. And then so they put me in the hospital, Moffitt, and so I did about 3 days there. They put me on high dose IV antibiotics, which made me all so sick that I just, and the food, it was terrible, terrible, terrible. But I had 104 fever, and they said 100.5 or something I was supposed to call them. And so it's like, you don't mess with 104 fever. So anyway, I got home from that and kind of recovered. It took me a long time. Ugh. But so round 2, 3 weeks later, I was barely even functioning from round 1, and they did it again, and I got the fever again, and then I said, no way, I can go in the hospital because I just can't survive another one. And I got a high fever again, but I stayed home and just, Paul took care of me, fed me as best I could eat, and I just did nothing, and kept it under like 102. I took my temperature all the time, and I know I was supposed to call him back, but it's like, no, you can't do this to me again because I won't survive. So I did manage the second time to keep it where I didn't have to go to the hospital. And you hear that purring? She's purring again. Yeah, she's purring again. Oops. Yeah. And okay, so round 3, I did the same thing. I had 3 weeks after round 2, they did it again, and I also had severe neutropenia, but I also refused and did the same thing as round 2, and didn't go to the hospital. Well, this was like December, I think, 2018, and I said, if I do 8 of these things, it's going to kill me. I literally am not going to survive. So it's like, I got to come up with something different, a new plan. This ain't working. So before I started that, I'd gone to lunch. I think God just has a plan. And you know how the universe is like uh, amazing and it all works and the stars don't bang into each other, don't collide. And uh, it's kind of like what he does for me and you. Uh, so he figured out what I needed. And even though I didn't know, um, I went to lunch with Marianne from church, and she had a health nut friend who who was had breast cancer and cured herself naturally. Didn't do chemo. She did some surgery, I think, and named Cindy. Um, but she brought me. It was a wonderful lunch, even though I still wasn't. Well, it was before my treatment. I did whatever. Anyway, Ybor City, the Greek place, is a wonderful place. Uh, so had lunch. Her friend, Marianne's friend Cindy, brought me a book. Well, she talked about her experience, and I'm thinking, you know, you just like a lot of people, you just don't get it. You had a little breast cancer, you had a little surgery, you cured yourself with naturally. Well, that's nothing like what I've had. Nothing. You just are. Uh, you just can't understand. So she brought me a book that can't remember what it was called, but something about cancer. I can't remember. But anyway, I put the book on the shelf. I said, there's no way. You just don't get it. I'm not going to read that. So I went on about my way. Did my 3 rounds of chemo. Just about died. And then whenever I was stuck at home after the 3rd round, beautiful weather out, sitting out on the deck, I says, you know what? I saw that book. It's like, I'm going to read that. Look at that book. What do I got to hurt now? What do I got to lose? So I opened a book and said, And they had a whole bunch of different people that did different things that actually cured their cancers. A bunch of nutty things like SECT and these weird treatments that you cottage cheese and flax oil and several other things. And these started sounding legitimate, but I'm like, no way. So I kept reading, and by the time I got halfway through, I'm like, there's something to this. These people aren't all making this up. This is not just crazy talk. So maybe I should look into some of this stuff. So I did. I got myself some SECT. I got myself some raw almonds. With B17, Laetrile, apricot seeds, and just various stuff that they had tried. And I started doing all this stuff, and then I'm like, ooh, it all kind of tasted bad, but that's okay. I can handle that. Anything better than chemo. Um, um, so, but did that for a couple months, I guess, and then my dear friend Doris, who is another crazy coincidence of how I met her. Her sister played piano. I don't want to disturb you, Minnie, but I gotta have a drink. Where is she? I can't find her. She's somewhere there. There she is, maybe. Oh. Okay. friend Doris, my lady that I had at church, the Palm River Church, I'd started playing violin with Esther, this old lady who is lovely old lady who very shy and didn't talk to anybody, but I started playing specials with her, and it was great. And she'd been playing there since she was like 15, and she's like 80 something. But she passed away, Esther did. And then her sister Doris was all by herself. I never met Doris. But I thought, man, I'm not working because I was like 2 years into the cancer thing and had to so I decided I need to go visit Doris because it's kind of my duty. You're supposed to encourage people and stuff. So I didn't know what to do, but I went over there anyway. And Doris, lovely lady, but she's kind of hard to start out with. Just kind of reminds me of Maxine, the newspaper lady, the opinionated lady. She just kind of says what she thinks, and that's it, and whatever. I love Doris. So poor Doris, all by herself. Been three of them, three siblings. The brother had died 3 or 4 years earlier, and then left Doris and Esther, and then Esther died, and poor Doris, they're all by herself. So take her occasionally food. If Paul had extras, turkey dinners or something, I'd take her some food every now and then. I'm just rambling along, but it says 17 minutes, so that's not too bad. I figure it's okay. Doris. So anyway, through Doris, I was over there one day, and I'd go over there. I had a brand new Cadillac I bought because my LS got crashed, and long story that's not worth talking about here, but beautiful car. So I'd park in her yard, go in and talk to her for a while, and I've been doing that for a year. Every couple weeks or week or whatever, every now and then I go visit. So one day I'm over there and I'm visiting, and I see a couple of really nice looking guys, like with suits and ties, no, just ties, walking around her yard. I say, Doris, there's a couple of nice looking guys walking around your yard. And she says, I figured, hey, they're the missionaries. They're trying to work their way to heaven, and they're gonna come and talk to her. So I was like, whatever. So she said, no, I've got some people looking at the house here in 20 minutes. So I'm trying to sell the house, and I said, oh, I gotta leave. I don't want to be in this. And so so at that point I got walked out, and then there was 3 people walking up to the house, and this older gentleman who greeted me and says, hello. Isn't that what you do when you greet somebody? You say hello. And so I just left. And so Doris and the 3, well, the older gentleman was a realtor who had had her house listed very close by. He lives 2 blocks from there, maybe half a mile from me. Pat is his name. And so they showed the house, and later on, Pat, or actually that day, Pat asked Doris, who was that lady? Because I go over there when I'd be pulling weeds. Doris loved to pull weeds too, so we had weeds in common. So I had on my weed pulling clothes probably, and just so Pat thought he was protecting Doris, and rightfully so, because like who is coming over to see her and a bum. And so anyway, he told me this much later that um he just wanted to make sure Doris is okay. And I'm getting really tired, but I'm going to finish this because this is great. Uh, so it turns out that Pat saw my car there, my Cadillac, and then the guys drove up in a nice BMW, and so he just thought they'd driven up in two separate vehicles. And I was homeless, and I was there to bug Doris and do no good. So I took off in my Cadillac, and then that afternoon, Pat asked Doris, like, who was that lady? Oh, she used to play violin with Esther. It's like, can I have her number? I've been praying for a fiddle player for my retirement sitter group for years. So he called me up that day. He says, Becky, I've been talking to Doris, and you don't know me, but I've been playing these retirement centers for 20-something years, and I'd like you to come play with me. It's like, what? I wasn't doing anything, so what the heck? So this is like a Tuesday maybe, and they play every Thursday night, 4 different ones. So different one every Thursday. So he came pick me up, and I took my fiddle, and off we went, and they played all the fun stuff that my parents, Mom and Pa Greer, played when I was growing up. So I knew a lot of the songs, and I hadn't played in a long time, but I remembered them. It was so much fun, and these old folks, it was, one of those nursing homes that the people are kind of like a lot of Alzheimer's people, and some knew what was going on. One guy was back there every time you quit, and it was kind of weird, but it was great. Played his songs. He loved it. I would have sang harmony. I don't think I brought a mic with me, but so I learned. Anyway, so that's Pat. And okay, let me get back to my health stuff. So I've been playing with them ever since I don't know when that was. 3 or 4 years. 4 years ago, because I remember I do a Magra tribute every September. So I've done 4 of those at 4 different locations now. So it's been 4 years. I would come up with my 5th one and have to repeat someplace this September. So 4.5 years I've been playing with them. Great. "24 minutes. Okay, so anyway, my health. Tried everything. So 2018, I just says at the end, says can't do this anymore. So, and I'd read the book, part of the book that the crazy friend Cindy had given me. And then I started researching, found another book or 2 and read some of them. And then my friend Pat, the singer, nursing home guy, introduced me to this thing called The Truth About Cancer, which is people that Ty and Charlene Bollinger, who've done years of videos and alternative healings, and they had you could watch them free at that point. He sent me links to the videos, and it was like 15 hours worth of stuff. Um, and I watched this like, whoa. And they're like so anti big pharma, and they went on and on and on about that. I'm like, okay, just get over it. And then when they got over that, then they talked about real stuff, really amazing doctors that had real people that got really cured by all this wacky herbs and essential oils and various stuff. So I ended up buying their DVDs and watching them again. 15 hours worth. It's just amazing. But anyway, that kind of spawned me to look at alternative things to cure myself. Well, takes a while. It took a long time to research, and I still am researching. I still don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, just after this, poor Doris, she'd been so sweet, and she'd moved after she sold her place. The two young men bought it. After she sold her place, she moved into one of the assisted living places. Actually, it was an apartment place, Hawthorne, and she lived there for several months. And visit her, we played there every once a month Thursday. Then she got lung cancer. She's like 80 something years old, and then she had to move to the nursing home part, and a couple months, and she just lost her will to live, and she just died. And at that point, I was really sick. I'd had something. Oh, I was coughing so bad that I'd actually had lost my voice. I couldn't talk, or I almost couldn't talk. And she didn't want anybody to come to her memorial service, but you know what? They did it anyway. And it was a yucky day in December. And like 10 people came, and we were in the lobby and just talking. And my friend Jerry Skipper had come. Everybody wanted to hear my story, but I couldn't talk. But Jerry brought her daughter, who I didn't know and I never met before. And her daughter, I talked to her. She found out what's going on. And she says, well, I know my friend did some alternative stuff in Bradenton, which is about 45 minutes from here. I lived down there for many years, and this doctor, a real MD, does alternative medicine, and I had a friend go there, and you could check him out. So she didn't know who it was, but she looked at her phone and did some stuff and found it, and she sent it to me, and Dr. Rucker. So I called up Dr. Rucker and made an appointment, and started there. Well, in January, I'd also gone to another guy out in Oldsmar who was kind of did the same thing, but I'm like, ooh, he's had some wacko psychological things that he kind of told you. It's like, oh, you got cancer, because he's asked me about things that had happened. I had breast cancer in 1999. He says, okay, so what happened recently before that? It's like, well, anything dramatic? When did you have a death? And yes, my mother died in 2000. So he says, well, your breast cancer was caused because your mother died and you were grieving, and it got you. So I said, huh? I loved this facility. Everybody thought it was great, but like, that's just wacky. I can't do that. So I checked out this Dr. Rucker. Had no wackiness at all. Just a straight crazy guy who just whatever came out of his mouth came out. And he put me on IV stuff. I've got a port here. So they did a port. They accessed my port, gave me high dose vitamin C, like 40,000 vitamin C, and a magnet called PEMF, Dr. Pollock or something. It's all weird stuff, but the magnet, and which is supposed to have all kinds of healing properties. And I read up on this stuff, but I still don't understand it. And this other stuff, DMSO, and I can't remember, in the IV, and a ozone sauna. And so I started doing that twice a week, but it was like an hour down there and an hour back, and it was very tiring. But I just could hardly make it at first, but I made it, and I was determined and got that. I sure hope this is recording. I know it is. It says 32 minutes, 31:39, 31:40. So, because I'll never think of this stuff again. Did that twice a week, and I was feeling really bad starting. I just was barely, I couldn't talk at all. They talked to me. I wrote my notes and communicated that way, and because my coughing had been so bad. But then they put me on this stuff, and then within a month, I could talk a little bit again, and I was feeling better. And within like 2 months, I was like, man, I feel pretty good. And so I thought, oh, got this made. It's kind of expensive, but it's like, well, what's not, and it's helping. So continued that, and for several months. And then my CT the following August, this is January to August, showed stuff was growing again. The CT in March was great, but by August, it's growing again. Excuse me. Took off my oxygen because I don't need it so much anymore. But so went back to Moffitt, and they said, oh, you got to do chemo because it's bad. It's like, huh, okay. So, but then said, well, just need to do something alternative, better than, or more substantial than what I'm doing right now. So I started researching, and Facebook proposed, they have these little proposed, they see what you've been Googling, and then they send you little ads of, you might like this. And so I clicked on a Mexico clinic and it had information about all kinds of Mexican places, and it said that it wasn't affiliated with any of them, but it would compare them for me. So I responded to that and says, okay, what do you think? So they look at my medical records. They said, okay, well, we think this functional oncology center in Tijuana would be the right place for you. And so I checked into it and actually went last September for 3 weeks. It also costs a lot of money, but you know what? What's your life worth? So they did daily high dose, lots and lots of, I got it all documented, but I don't remember. Vitamins and stuff, and a couple of times they did on a schedule, they did a hyperthermia localized in my abdomen to kind of locally fight the cancer, and then the magnet thing, and the ozone sauna too. So I was familiar with some of the stuff. Then they, so I did that for 3 weeks. And the main thing was they have an immunotherapy thing. And this is all, everybody says, oh, Mexico. It's like, it's just not tested. It's not, and that's what Moffitt says. It's like, well, it's just not proven. It's just not, no studies proven, that any of this stuff works. But, the stuff works elsewhere in the world. And it's been studied and documented, and all the FDAs of the world have approved it. So Mexico can basically do anything that's approved any place else in the world, but they have to still go through their own FDA approval process. So the immunotherapy, where they pull out your own. The first day, they took a bunch of my blood. They sent it to a lab, and they incubated it. That's not what they said, but that's the only term I can remember, and that doesn't make sense to medical people, but it makes sense to me. And they separated out my white cells, and they put something with it that allows it to sit there and grow a bunch of new baby cells. It's your own cells, immune cells, they're just baby, and they haven't ever seen cancer before. So they're supposed to come in, and what they do is the last 2-3 days, they've got your super blood, and they put it back into you in the last 3 days. And they and it's white, it's clear. I says, why? I thought blood was red. What's going on? It's like, oh, this is white blood. Silly me. So they put that back into me. And at that point, it's my own cells, they've incubated them and grown a bunch of new ones that are they've never seen cancer before, so they're ready to go out and fight the world. And so I did well with that. So I came back. I flew into San Diego, which is lovely, and I had friends there the whole time. Nobody wanted me to be alone. Paul started out with me for the first 3 or 4 days, and then Joyce replaced him, and then June replaced her, and then Sherry replaced June. So Sherry and I went back to San Diego and flew back to St. Louis for my high school reunion. Anyway, I digress. I was just going to do this for some notes so I didn't forget stuff, but I guess this is video now. Oh, so the treatment is supposed to take, the immunotherapy is supposed to take a while to kick in, like a month. And don't worry if it's 3 months and you're still not having the results you want, because it takes time for immune system to build back up and work again. And mine was absolutely blown before. So like, okay. So I came home, I felt great, and my high school reunion was a lot of fun, even though I hate those things. Anyway, saw a lot of great people I hadn't seen in a long time, and some other people had come all the way down from Peoria, and 3 carloads came down to just have breakfast with me. They didn't even go to the reunion, have breakfast with me. And that was great. I was like, wow. So came back home. This was early October, beautiful weather. But then I got home, and I just got back into the same old mindset, eating the same stuff. Although Paul's a cook, and that's great. He's healthy, and it works great for him. But I learned a lot of stuff in Mexico and before, and read a lot of books on food to cure and help cancer and organic stuff. And but he's very rigid in his ways. It's worked for him. He's 84 years old. You don't mess with success. So, and broccoli just cures everything. So he fed me broccoli every day. But so, but I got back into the same mindset, and I was beating myself up because they had a dietitian who was a very lovely lady, a vegan, and she just knew her stuff, and she gave me this chart of stuff that I couldn't eat and shouldn't eat. And it's like, I was already skinny. I was already like 110 or 15 pounds in Mexico, even though I was supposed to weigh like 120, 25. So and they fed me great, but I didn't like a lot of the stuff. They had some wonderful fish that was like, whoa. I told them to give me the fish all the time, and they only did twice. So got back home, beat myself up over not eating right, and thought, well, I should just do my own. But no, if I do that, then Paul's kind of domineering. He would tell me how to do everything and tell me that organic is just a waste of money. It's a big ripoff, and it just wasn't going to work. So I ate his stuff, and it's good, but I'm like, I need different. And I was so stressed because like I'm just not doing it right. And the Mexico lady, God bless her, so good, but she told me all the stuff I shouldn't eat. It's like everything I liked and ate is what I shouldn't eat. And refined sugar, which I totally agree with that, and I'd already cut back on that, so I'd already pretty much stopped that. But no low carbs, you're supposed to eat, and no dairy, and that's my life. That's my calories. So I got home and tried to do that, but it's like, this isn't gonna work, and I'd lose more weight. And so finally I was so stressed that and I learned later that your immune system is not function when you're stressed, because it can only do like one thing at a time. And if you're stressed, your immune system says, "Huh, I gotta run from a lion. I don't need to have an immune system to cure cancer. I'm gonna get eaten by a lion, so I don't need to. So my immune system just, even though I'd had the super duper immunotherapy, just didn't care. I was gonna get eaten by a lion, so I didn't care. So I lost that, and I beat myself up over that, figured that out. 44 minutes. But I was so down, and then had another set of coincidences that I kind of wrote up. So I'm not going to talk about that. But at church, Cindy, my Sunday school teacher, was finishing up the book of Nehemiah, which is wonderful. And she says, we need anybody want to suggest a new study? And so I thought about it and said, well, Christmas is coming. I'd like, she said, no prophecy. It's like, well, what about prophecy of Messiah coming? And that's not really prophecy like Armageddon prophecy. So she said, Becky, would you like to teach that? It's like, oh, I don't teach. So I started researching that. I had this chart of prophecies that have been fulfilled in Yeshua, Jesus. So I started researching that, and I had 3 months. She said, "Would you like to teach it?" Like, ugh. So well, I'll give it a shot. I don't know. I can't make any promises, but it's 3 months. I'll try. So started reading stuff about that because it's super interesting. I love the Jewish culture and the whole Jewish roots of our faith. And so I sidetracked. I'd been to a Messianic synagogue in Brandon a couple times, and they'd give me a welcome package, and the rabbi had put in a book that he had written, a little 80 page book, and I never read it because, like, I'll get to that later. So I said, Jewish stuff, need to research the first century culture because I want to give my teaching a cultural thing, and so it's all in context. So read the book, very good book. Didn't take long, but when it got to the end, he didn't mention this till the end. The last pages was about his experience with health. Turns out he'd had all kinds of heart attacks and lung problems and pneumonia a whole bunch of times, and so he'd researched biblical healing, and he had he made 5 little videos that all add up to like 50 minutes. So he referenced those. So I decided I've got to watch those. So I watched his videos. Like, this is real stuff. Like the lady that reached out and touched Yeshua's garment and was healed. And he says, your faith healed you. And she didn't, he says, or the rabbi said, she didn't do anything. It was just her faith. It's like, really? And there was so many examples of that. So, like, okay, I watched that several times, and that started pulling me out of the funk. Gave me hope that, well, something to this. So then, Maria out in Mexico, she, lovely lady from San Diego, also had breast cancer, and she was there getting treatment in the next door room. Talked to her, and she'd recommended a book called You Were the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza or something. So I'd gotten that book and I just am not even finished with it yet, but it kind of takes the biblical healing. It's your mind, your belief is very powerful. He'd been in a crash, been on a bike and crashed, and somebody run over him, and he'd healed himself. He didn't get any surgery. He healed himself with his mind. In 8 weeks, he was up walking. And so that got my attention. It's like, whoa. And he had all kinds of examples of people that did stuff with their all kinds of cancers and diabetes and whatever. So I read that. It's kind of the scientific version of the biblical healing. And so that's where I am now. But my whole point of this, I was going to list what I was taking and stuff and what I tried. And people ask, well, what do you recommend? I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, so I've tried all kinds of stuff. And basically, my answer is kind of whatever you think, whatever you believe is going to work is what's going to work for you. And so all this stuff that I tried, the SAT and the cottage cheese and flax oil and the CellQuest stuff that tasted like rotten bananas and yuck, but none of that worked. But I kind of was like, whatever. So then now what was I going to say? Oh, I. mm, Oh, oh no. I don't want to shut this off now because I'd ruin it. I don't know how to get started again, but I've totally forgot what I was talking about. Ah, it's 3 something now. Minnie's curled up on the floor, just as happy as a clam. Uh, so no. So the combination, but whatever. The main thing I was gonna say is that I'm taking all kinds of vitamins and stuff, supplements that I think really, really are helping. But don't tell me I can't come up with my main point that I've been building up to for 52 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna shut it off and then I'll resume. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll resume if I can think of it, but I will. Just give me a minute. Okay, bye.